Congratulations on the film. It's so joyful, and I'm at that age where it took me back to my youth. That was me growing up at that time. So what for you made you want to move away from the documentaries and make such a wholesome film?
Storytelling in factual filmmaking has been something that I've really enjoyed, and it's been a massive learning experience for me. Making documentaries, you have to put so much of you into it for it to be any good. And writing is something that I've done quite quietly and privately for quite a long time. And I've written so many screenplays that no one will ever see because they're terrible. But the ones that were actually any good were the ones that I put me into. And I feel a level of pride that Pirates is starting to resonate in the way that I dreamed that it would do, because there is so much of me in this film and there's so much of my world in this movie.
Yeah, and for me as well, how I see it is we're all pretty used to seeing white middle-class faces in middle-class plot lines, basically. So this is a real positive story of three youths from all different cultural backgrounds and working class as well. And I immediately identified with that. But what was your inspiration for the film? Why did you think it was time to tell this side of the story?
Well, I think we've all grown a bit tired of the same depiction of the working class or the black experience, particularly coming from a big city perspective. And it's not every person that is dealing with some existential crisis or running from a gang. Those things do exist if you live in a big city, but they definitely didn't define my formative years. And it's because of that I definitely wanted that in the script, and I wanted that to be at the heart of the story in a lot of ways. I mean, this film is fundamentally about friendship. It's not about those points that I was trying to make, but they're made just because these boys are existing as opposed to dealing with some sort of trauma. And for me, that was a really important part of telling the story, and it seems to be resonating.
Also, you've got Jordan, Elliot, and Reda as well. The definition of perfect casting with these guys. They're lovely.
We got lucky.
Yeah, and I felt like I wanted to mother them myself. How did that process come together? Where did you find the guys?
I work with an amazing casting director called Shaheen Baig. Shaheen and I have worked together before in a few short films. It's through Shaheen that I cast Tosin Cole in 2 of my short films, and Tosin is gonna be one of our biggest stars ever. He did his thing in Doctor Who, but that was just the beginning. He's got a massive movie coming out. He's the lead in the new House Party movie. He's got loads of stuff coming, and I rate him so highly. And that was through Shaheen. Same with Daniel Kalira. I worked with Daniel in one of my short films, and he's an Oscar winner now. Yeah. And it's just incredible working with someone that knows what good talent looks like before anyone else. And her taste is impeccable. So she put in front of me the great and the good of young, new faces. And these three were just incredible. And the minute that they were reading these lines that I'd written, I made them sound infinitely better than anything that was in my head. I knew it was them.
So is it really easy to direct them then, being, as you said, fresh faces?
Yeah, I think the thing that made this so fun was that it was collaborative. The boys were open to being directed, which not all actors are, but also I was open to hearing their perspective on a scene. If a word didn't land right or a joke didn't feel right, we played. And through that, the mood on set and the mood in the crew, the mood in the cast was really collaborative and felt great. So it was enjoyable for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say as well, because, you had to shoot it in a very short space of time as well, but obviously you got COVID hit 10 days before, wasn't it? You had to shut down. What went through your mind at that point, thinking, are we actually going to get this made?
The biggest fear was whether or not we'd cross the finish line. That was the big worry for me, because I've said it a million times, we're a tiny movie with a very small budget. And when you've not got much money to play with and suddenly you get told you have to stop, I didn't know if we'd be able to get the money to get back on set and finish it. And thankfully, BBC Film, BFI, National Lottery, they helped us out. And, we were able to finish something that I'm very, very proud of.
Okay, and you've also got a few familiar faces in there going back. You've got Wani Harrell, you've got Spoonie in there as well. I mean, I bet those guys jumped at the chance to represent the 90s.
They were keen to be involved. And I think the reason that they were keen to be involved was because of the angle that we were coming at it from. This film wasn't trying to do anything but celebrate that era and celebrate those people. Ronnie Harrell is an R&B DJ. He's not even connected to Garage, but Uptown Records downstairs used to sell Garage Records, and Ronnie managed Uptown. Ronnie was the boss, and he saw everybody come through that shop, including me as a teenager. And so Ronnie is a huge part of that scene and a huge part of our story. So it was just, I don't know, the support that we've had has been incredible. Like on Monday night in the premiere, people whose faces I didn't recognize, but the minute they told me their name, I was going crazy because their music defines my formative years. Like Scott Garcia stopping me and saying, "Thank you so much for having my song in your film." I was like, "What song was that?" And he's like, "Oh, it's a London thing." I was like, "Oh my God, you're Scott Garcia!" Oh my God. And then just bugging out over like his productions and his records, and people like Wookie just being so helpful and gracious. It's just, yeah, I feel like a very lucky boy.
I was actually surprised not to see Trevor Nelson in there as well, because obviously I call him the pirate granddad. But yeah, I thought he might be popping up as well, but no.
But Trevor was R&B, you know. Trevor, don't get me wrong.
Funny.
Yeah, but Trevor didn't own Uptown Records. So,
Okay,
you know, Ronnie was more connected to the garage scene, even though he wasn't a garage DJ. And Trevor had absolutely nothing to do with garage. So Trevor knows how I feel about him. I love Trev. Everyone loves Trev. And me and Trevor go way back, so he don't need to be in the film to know that we love Trevor.
He gets enough.
He gets a shout out anyway.
Yeah.
We talk about lick parties in the film. It's fine.
There you go. So obviously, during that screening that I saw with you, you introduced it and you said you've been in the business for 30 years. Turned me grey instantly because it made me think how old I am. So what is left for you to do now? You know, you've done this and you've obviously done your documentaries. What do you really want to do next?
More of the same, hopefully. Yeah. Hopefully I'll be given money again to make another film. But we'll see what happens. But I feel as though film is the best lane for me to actually really use all the things that I've learned. I've got a massive history in music, and storytelling has been a huge part of my professional career. So film is basically all of those skills amalgamated. So to be able to do this for the foreseeable future is my big dream, and hopefully it'll be something that I'm actually able to do. I'm working with these guys again, it'll be great. I just can't wait to see what they do next, and hopefully I'll be able to afford them in my future projects.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure. And the film was fantastic. I love it. And hopefully you do get to make some more.
Yeah.
Because we need more of those.
Nice one. Thank you for your review. Thank you. I appreciate it, man. We saw it. It was really cool.